In this 7-Eleven ramen taste test, I've got 3 of the famous Japanese convenience stores ramen to try. I'll be starting with a salty tanmen that is chock full of vegetables. Then I'm moving on to Tomita, the #1 ranked ramen shop in the country. They've got a fatty garlicky ramen here. And last but not least, I'm gonna be having a Tantan Men, a spicy Tantan Men that has devil level spice. Let the taste test begin. For those of you new here, I'm Frank from AM Ramen. I was born and raised in Tokyo, Japan, and I eat 300 plus bowls of ramen a year. I love ramen. This channel, 5am Ramen, is all about bringing you the very best ramen from Japan. I've got 3 wildly different 7-Eleven ramen in front of me. I'll be starting with the tanmen, a salty ramen with a generous amount of crunchy stir-fried vegetables. So this is tanmen, not to be confused with tantan men, which is the devil level spice one I'm having at the very end. Tanmen usually features a ton of crunchy vegetables, and this one looks no different. We've got cabbage here, we've got carrots, we've got some negi, we've also got kikurage or woody or mushroom. In terms of the soup, it's normally a chicken stock and it's salt seasoned. So it's kind of light and refreshing. And let's see how theirs tastes. So it is light, but it's got a nice pronounced salty kind of flavor and just enough stickiness from what I assume is chicken stock to make it delicious. A popular condiment for tanmen is often white pepper, and 7-Eleven, of course, they don't miss a thing. They put that in here as well. Another thing is, since you've got so many vegetables, the broth is gonna get watery towards the end. So adding that condiment, maybe midway or towards the end, can help bring it back to life. As to the noodles, we've got quite thick noodles here. And when you pull them up, you get them alongside the generous vegetables that you got here. There we go. You got plenty of crunch in this, especially coming from the cabbage. So tanmen started in the Kanto area, basically the area surrounding Tokyo. And you see it in a lot of old school ramen restaurants, often places that are also serving Chinese cuisine. You have a lot of tanmen specialty shops that will market their tanmen as healthy and also a source of your daily required intake of vegetables. Great, relatively light start. Now I'm gonna be jumping into a ramen from the #1 ranked ramen shop in the country, Chuka Soba Tomita. Round 2, I've got a ramen from Chuka Soba Tomita. Start with the soup here, if I can get any soup. There's so much vegetables on top. That's a salty, fatty, and garlicky broth. This screams gyro-style ramen. That is the thicker, very chewy noodles, a generous amount of vegetable toppings, and also a ton of garlic and pork back fat. And look at those noodles with the bean sprouts there. Oh, the steam coming up, awesome. Very tasty. Definitely heavier than the tanmen. They're normally found at the very top of the ramen rankings on a lot of websites across the country. And they're actually known mostly for their tsukemen, or dipping ramen. After it came out of the microwave and I removed the lid, the garlic smell just overtakes everything. These are tough, thick noodles, a little bit of a tug of war trying to pull them up from here. Just like with the tanmen though, they're very generous with the vegetables. You got a lot of bean sprouts and also cabbage for crunch alongside those noodles. Look at that chashu pork, huge slab of it, supremely fatty. This one in a way soaks up the broth more than the noodles do. So by eating into it, I can just feel the grease like everywhere. But it's so delicious. I don't eat gyro style that much, but I'm liking this one. You can't eat this if you've got any appointments after a date, whatever it is. There's so much garlic, so much oil, your whole body is just smelling like it for, I'd say a couple hours after, if not 24 hours after. Very enjoyable. Now for the last round, I have the devil level spice tantan men, or the oni umakara tantan men. Let's see if I can handle the heat. Final round, saving the most dangerous for last. I feel like in Super Mario where you've reached that Koopa level where everything is just lava red. For that first sip, it's kind of like, okay, should I go in the more shallow water or the deep end, which is basically where I poured all of that red pepper spice on top, or togarashi. I'm gonna go right in the middle. And let's see what happens. Let's see if it lives up to the devil level spice. Yeah, so far it certainly is. It's that chili oil that hits you in the back of the throat. It grabs you and it doesn't let go. There's a word in Japanese that means delicious and spicy, and I think this is a great example of that. Umakara. And with this ramen, they might be inspired by Kikambo. This is one of the most famous spicy Tokyo ramen restaurants. Because their ramen also, they have a devil level spice. They do more of a miso ramen. This is a tantan men, but I do see the similarities. You've got a very generous amount of minced pork that's flavored with miso. This looks delicious. Noodles are, definitely thinner than the last two we just had. Look at that, steam coming off. Okay, here we go. That's spicy, all right. Yeah, but it's so well balanced. As a tantan men, it has some of that nice numbing pepper that you get too. A little bit of a tingling sensation. It's just so flavorful. This is a new item at 7-Eleven. I haven't seen this before, and I don't know how long they're gonna keep it, but I hope they keep it for a while. This is really nice. Oh boy, it's doing a number on me, but it's so tasty. I can't stop eating it. It's starting to sweat, despite having the AC on. All right, I made it through. I feel like I was just in the river Styx and I paddled my way through, but I made it to the end. I think I'll be suffering a little bit tomorrow because of it, but it was so good. I'm gonna rank them right now, and it's gonna be tough because all three 7-Eleven ramen were really good. Now it's close between number 3 and number 2, but I might put the tanmen. Now don't get me wrong, I love tanmen. It's light and refreshing, and there's just enough of that lovely flavor from the chicken stock that doesn't make it boring. Interestingly enough, tanmen from the 3 of them is probably the one I would eat the most and the most regularly. And yeah, bronze is not bad. Of course, there are only 3 ramen in total, but because this tanmen 7-Eleven's had for a while, it was a little bit familiar for me. But otherwise, yeah, I love tanmen, and 7-Eleven does a great job with their tanmen. For number 2, I'm gonna have to say the Tomita, or Chuka Soba Tomita ramen, that was very clearly Jiro inspired. They did a good job. It was fatty, it was garlicky. Now nothing beats, of course, the real thing, but I was very pleasantly surprised to see how close they got it to Jiro noodles. And these were firm and even look like Jiro noodles. So hats off to them, and you wouldn't expect anything else coming from what is the top-ranked ramen shop in Japan. Now that, of course, means our champion is the spicy Tantan Men, devil level Tantan Men. This one just did it for me. And again, I think just like the Jiro, I could not eat this every single day, whereas the tanmen I could, but I really liked how it was a perfect balance between being delicious but also spicy. You had that nice numbing pepper coming through, and kind of like a Japanese tantan men, there was also a little bit of sesame creaminess. So there you have it, there's my ranking. Between the 3, which did you prefer? The tanmen, Tomita ramen, or the tantan men? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button. This is Frank from 5 AM Ramen, bringing you the best ramen from Japan, and also reminding you that Tokyo is the only city where you can get terrific ramen at 5 AM, 7-Eleven ramen included. Thanks for joining.